if you want to not think about the things that are coming, going into you and making it not right, then that's a perfect kind of link, really, to Dr. Rohan Weerasinghe, who is here in the studio with me. And welcome back to you. It's lovely to have you on the programme.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, Sue.
Now, your book, Turning Point, it was just being published the last time you came in. So what's been happening for you? Because I think it's done rather well, hasn't it?
Yeah, we launched at the beginning of May, which was fantastic. Went on to Amazon, and within a week it hit #1 in 3 categories on the Amazon business, including business motivation and business assertiveness, which was great. And that's been an inspiration for me because it's been a dream for many years. And then just this last weekend, on the back of the book launch, we ran our first Turning Point experience for people. It's a weekend event where they come through with any area of their life that they're wanting to create a change and they're experiencing a block. And we take them on a path for 3 days, and it was incredible. 70 people went through some amazing transformations.
Wow. Somebody's actually sent me an email, someone, I will find it in a minute, about you, and said, I was one of the lucky ones to be at Rohan's first Turning Point seminar at the weekend, and it was truly an amazing experience. Rarely do you find a speaker who has such heart, and anyone who has heard Rohan will surely agree with me. His passion and generosity are unrivalled. He is a man living his dream, and in doing so is helping so many people make important and much needed turning points in their life. I fully encourage every listener to read Rohan's book, and better yet, attend one of his powerful and life transforming seminars.
Wow.
He and his wonderful team helped get my marriage back on track.
Really, that's fantastic.
Whoa, and thank you. And thank you to you for helping Rohan spread his inspirational message. Vaisi, thank you so much for that. Wow.
No, I'm blessed by that. And,
aren't you just? Yeah. Oh, well, how
you know
cool
what was
is that?
amazing, just briefly, is that when people come in, I always say that what you think you came here for this weekend isn't often the reason you came here. So a lot of things, when we go through a transformation, change. It's not just the one area we're focused on.
It's one of those things that you may be sitting there thinking, well, I don't know, I'm not happy, but I'll put up with it because, that's life and that's one thing and another. And I made a promise to myself probably towards the end of last year, or maybe mid last year, but actually said at the beginning of this year, I'm not doing anything that's difficult anymore. Can't be bothered with it. So how do you identify, when your life needs to change?
No, that's a good question. We talked earlier on about children, and I know that one of the themes of this evening is going back to that childlike experience that we have.
David Williams going back to his childhood stories,
And I think I made a note to myself earlier on that one of the messages I wanted to get across to people listening tonight is that you have to be honest with yourself. Ask one of 3 questions. What am I unhappy with right now? What am I frustrated about? What am I angry about? And ask the question into your heart and be open to listening to what that message is. That's the first thing. The minute you identify, okay, there's an area of my life that I'm unhappy about, and you admit that and you acknowledge it, that's the first step to change. So then you start to zoom in and you say, okay, the reason I'm unhappy is because my relationship isn't quite where I was expecting it to be at this time in my life, or my finances aren't where they want to be, or I'm frustrated in my career. I thought this job was going to be all I wanted, but actually it's not, and I'm not feeling on purpose. I'm not waking up in the morning feeling excited. And you and I talked about that earlier tonight, which was it's so important as a human being to wake up feeling that you're connected with who you are and what you're doing. And if you're not, that's usually the first sign that there's a block, there's a time for a change.
Yeah, for me, you see, I have my fabulous moments. And at the moment, I'm just far too fabulous. I'm sorry, but I just am. I'm just far too fabulous, which, I don't know. But of course, you reach a peak and then you do have to dip a little bit, don't you, to build yourself up again. What's that all about?
Well, I think what happens is we talked about this earlier on as well. We all have different needs in life.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things I was explaining to the audience this weekend, that often what happens is we get so engrossed in what we're doing, we get that one need met. For example, it might be variety. We like doing lots and lots of different things. But then we feel a little bit exposed and we need some security, and we shrink back a little bit and put our feet back down on the ground a bit and say, right, I'm going a bit crazy here, let me just settle back down a minute. And then what happens is the world loses its rhythm around you, and that's just part of life. If everything was just one flat ocean and there was no waves, it would be boring. So it's about learning to how to dance with those waves and realise that when I've got an up, it's great, and when I've got a down, it's time to grow and learn again. And I truly believe that that's what life's about. It's about experiencing that time when it's time to change and grow and say, right, what do I need to do next? What's the first step? And anyone listening to this right now that's having that experience, that's a great place to be, because it's a chance to learn new things and to learn about yourself more than anything else.
This is it as well. I always say, my instinct, and so many times that little voice inside you that's going, no, this doesn't feel right. And you kind of brush over it and go, no, it'll be fine, and everything will be lovely, and yes, no, that's. And in the end, you end up like Cracker Jack. Do you remember Cracker Jack as a kid, where you'd end up with so many things in the cabbage, and if you drop something, you got another cabbage, and there was just so many.
Exactly.
You had it all in your arms, and it was a weird thing. Maybe Cracker Jack's to blame for a lot. Cracker Jack could be to blame for a lot of problems, and you just end up with all this stuff, and you can't put it anywhere, unless you just drop the whole lot.
Bingo. And once you do that, you clear the path. That's one of the first steps I talk about, is clearing the path. And I think, don't delude yourself. If you're feeling that the relationship isn't right and you're overloaded and your partner's not connecting with you and you're trying to speak to him or her and she's not listening, and you go on for years in this place and they're not connecting with you, don't assume that it's going to be better in 2 or 3 years' time. Something has to change. You have to release some baggage and look ahead and say, right, what do I want out of this relationship? What do I want out of this career? My finances are in pieces. I'm overloaded with the bills and the credit card statements and the bank statements. Just put them down, take a deep breath and say, right, let's start in one place first. It could be a conversation with your partner, it could be a conversation with your boss, with yourself, with your bank manager. Start somewhere, but as you say, put it down and don't hold it inside yourself, because most people feel like they're going to explode, and we saw that this weekend. Lots of emotional release, and then people have a smile on their face because they let go of something they've been holding on to for years.
It's an interesting thing, because I'll go around to my mum and make her a cup of tea in the morning, and she's watching Mr. Right on the TV, and I go, everybody's so miserable in one thing, you can't believe that people get into this state in their lives where there's these awful triangles and all these events going on, and the audience is sitting there going, oh my goodness, how did that happen? Just watch it. And these people are so brave, bearing their souls. But they have to go through a bit of counselling after that, don't they? A bit of coaching and sorting themselves out. Not that you're part of that programme, but I'm just saying is it a similar thing when you run an event in that way? Yeah,
literally we'll have somebody, and that nice lady that wrote in there, and I know exactly who it is actually, funnily enough, now when I heard the name. People stand up and they say, I've got a question about this area of my life, this is where I think my block is, and then within less than 5 minutes we've established actually that's not where the area is that you've got a problem, it's over here. You're unhappy in your relationship, but actually it's not that, it's a reflection of you're really unhappy in your job, you're not even doing what you should be doing in life. And so what happens is we have to be coached in order to clear the path, to put new steps in place to move forward. And the most important thing that we found this weekend, Sue, in talking to people, was that the coaching had to be in here, is with the heart, because most of us live in a very heady world, emails, phone calls, text messages, and we forget to take a moment to breathe and just ask us the childlike voice inside us, what do I really enjoy in life? What do I want out of life? Let me enjoy this moment. What's the biggest thing I want more than anything else?
It's really important to connect with people, and very often, and we do it, on the radio, saying to people, email or text in or something like that. But if people call in and we talk to you on air, that's the greatest thing. It really is, an exciting thing. And I know that somebody sent me a message today. They sent it last night. I didn't have a chance, and I will get to that. Chris, I know, who was having a go at something. So yes, I'll find that in a minute. Sure. We need to go and see what's happening on the roads of the Eastern Counties. If you've got any questions or you're thinking, well, what if, then give us a call. You haven't got to come on air. You can give your question to Tom and he'll feed it through to me here by the powers of technology. There could be a turning point in your life where sometimes you've just, been doing, I don't know, the wrong thing, and you don't recognise the signs. And sometimes it's nice to go back to that little place when you were a child. And we were just talking off air when I was saying when I was a child, I used to be playing dominoes with the pensioners because my mum and dad had a pub from when I was 18 months. And I feel that my show is a bit like a bar. It's welcome, come in, and whoever comes in, it's nice to engage with people. But you go back to sometimes old rules when you were at school. And it was always, I can remember when I was, again, going back to school, that everybody had their peg, and mine was by the side of a slipper. Mine was the slipper one and everything. And that was it. You put your things where you knew that was your little bit of space. So it's important to have those spaces and times in your life when you reflect and think about things, because you say it's all so busy. But how do those kind of old rules kind of affect us in life?
Oh, massively. And ironically, we think it's not important, but it goes all the way back. In fact, my first statement to people is when I'm working with them is that you are a collection of all the rules and the beliefs that have been installed in you since you were a young child, and literally back to sort of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years of age. An example, we had this weekend a lady who, she had a set of rules around relationships. So her boyfriends had to anticipate all her needs, send her a text every single day, always know what she needed, and all these things had to be all in line. So if he couldn't mind read her, then she didn't feel loved. And when I was coaching her, it turned out that her mother had said to her that all men are likely to take advantage of you. Don't trust a single man ever. And so she built up a set of rules from the rules that her mother had given to her, and she took those into her relationships right up into her 30s. So she'd never really had a whole relationship with anybody because she'd adopted her mum's rules.
How
Incredible.
scary.
Yeah.
How
And she didn't
scary.
realise until we actually sat down and looked at them. And I asked her, where do they come from? And she said, oh my gosh, they've come from when I was younger.